You didn't give her high charge to personally design by you. It was just a treat of the company having new customer. You and Jenny decided to make price tag for the future customer. When you all gathered to inform designer to have active work, you found Choi Hongyo wasn't present in the company. That guy was too cold to talk and his design was strange, like another level of mysterious. He took a day off. His design attracted you. There was something else in his design. It has been 2 days since Kim Dhyun visited last time in the company. Then she called early in the morning as she got some thoughts to add some design on her dress. Your colleagues don't know that you are also designer yourself. They just know that you are the only CEO of the company. Since you serve clients 24 hours a day, Dhyun fixed the daytime to meet up. Jenny was busy on making schedule. She invited designer to meet up. Her mother came in and helplessly looked at her daughter. You seems to have just woken up, right? Quickly go wash up and change clothes. Your auntie June is here. Dhyun was still in her pajamas. A touch of shyness appeared on her face when she heard of June's arrival. Then, how could her mother not understand what her daughter was thinking? She smiled. It was to let you meet. So she have chance to meet with him again. She hugged her mother. Her mother also felt that the man was suitable for her daughter, but it just that man seemed to be unwilling to go on a blind date. Her mother doubted if the man have another woman in his life, but Diane said that she believed in Jude. Otherwise, how could she choose him for her? Her family background was also good. Father ran a company and mother is a doctor. Although Diane came from rich family, she is not spoiled and have good manner. This kind of girl was very rare. That's why Jiyun wanted to introduce Jungkook. Jiyun teased for a while, making one shy. She bit her lower lip. Aunt Jiyun, you are making fun of Tofu. Jiyun couldn't help touching shy girl's nose. You little girl, Aunt isn't making fun of you. I clearly saw through you. Later, you can go out to eat with me. Then I will find an opportunity to call Jungkook over. She shyly nodded. Thank you, Aunt. Aunt is really good to me. But will Jungkook come over? June smiled. Jungkook is more obedient to me. It is just that he is cold on the surface. It may take more effort to be with him. So Aunt wanted to ask you something before this. Do you have confidence? She was stunned, then smiled after a while. If I didn't understand wrongly, Aunt is asking if I have the confidence to melt this ice mountain. June nodded. Don't worry, Aunt. I don't dislike his character. On the contrary, I like this kind of character very much. He was just a cold, which means that he was also an cold to other women. He is not only to me, so as long as there is no one else around him, then I will have a chance, and I look forward to the day the iceberg melts. Diane was unable to hold her shyness. As she lowered her head, June gave her a profound look. Good. Aunt knew that I would not misjudge people, then let's go. This girl has confidence than the one June had asked once. Now she believed that her nephew would be moved this time. I asked him to come for dinner. Let's order first. Jungkook is always punctual. He will come. Diane ordered something. She had been waiting there almost 10 minutes. June also ordered some snacks. After a while, Jungkook appeared in the restaurant. When he entered the restaurant, his dark eyes searched the crowd for June, then saw the figure next to her. He frowned unhappily. This aunt was really annoying. She called him telling that she was going back to Busan, so she asked to have a meal, but he didn't expect that she would arrange a blind date for him. Again, he sneered in his heart. It was nothing much. He, John Jungkook, would just treat this meal as a separate meal. Jungkook. June called him after seeing him stood there for a while. He was tall and attractive as he attracted a lot of attention. The moment he entered, he walked steadily towards June, seeing the handsome man who was like a god getting closer and closer. Tayon's heart beat so fast that it almost jumped out. Her hand tightened nervously. This man was hers. Even he was not now, in the future, one day he will be. Come, come sit down. June pulled him over with a smile and stood up. You guys should talk. I will go shopping nearby first. His cold gaze fell on June's face. Dismissed meal? There was a trace of embarrassment on June's face. Thyun just got to know that he was tricked by June when she heard him, but she was determined to get it, so she didn't feel embarrassed. You guys have a good meal. You must sit for half an hour before leaving. I'll go first. After that, she quickly left, leaving two behind, giving some space. You didn't have much appetite, so you only ate some then. Look at the time. It was almost noon, and you panic, then make a call quickly. She actually forgot to tell you that she is having lunch with her friend. She was nearby a restaurant, so you tell that you will come over immediately. She was going to refuse, but you had hung up the call. She looked at the handsome man sitting opposite. She heard the busy sound from other line. She was stunned as she wanted to say that it was inconvenient for to meet up now, but other party actually. Miss Kim has something to do, he coldly asked, noticing something. She quickly put her phone back to her bag and smiled. Nothing, it's okay. If she said something was wrong and stared at phone, he would probably leave immediately. He frowned slightly. This woman was really pestering him. A man like him has already treated her coldly, but she was still sitting here. He stood up. She suddenly panicked. Mr. John, where are you going? He didn't stop. The bathroom. June asked him to sit for half an hour. He was okay with time, but this half an hour wasn't limited to where he was staying, right? As long as he's still in the restaurant, Taeyeon let out a sigh of relief as he didn't leave but went to the washroom. You were so fast, just a few walked and you arrived at the restaurant. After entering, you saw Taeyeon sitting not far away. Your steps paused and suddenly remembered what she told. It was because the appointed time was about to start it that you was anxious and didn't think much. But now you saw her sitting there. You remembered that she told that she was having meal with her friend. Wouldn't it be inconvenient if you walked to her like this? Waiter, welcome. You are going back. You smiled lightly. I am looking for a friend. Thank you. After that, you walked to Dion's direction and found she was alone. Didn't she said that she was eating with friend? Miss Kim, hello. She had been waiting as Jungkook had gone to the washroom and didn't come back yet. It's almost 20 minutes. He should have come back, even if he has a big shot. Could it be that he didn't want to sit here with her, so he didn't come back and make excuse to leave? She was in her puzzled mind and didn't hear you. After a while, she looked up. It's you. Her voice could not hide the disappointed, and she didn't seem to be in a mood. Your eyes moved, Miss Kim. I was a little anxious just now, so I forgot to ask you if it was convenient. You looked at the other side. If it's not convenient, then I will come back later. No need, you can do it. She smiled bitterly. He probably left already. He just used this excuse to left. You seemed to notice her mood. You sat opposite her. Are you okay? Do you want to go to my company for a while? You thought that it will be better to talk in company if she was free. She blinked her eyes and nodded. He didn't go to the washroom but leaned against the corridor to smoke. He felt that it was about time before he extinguished the cigarette and walked back. When he came, he saw there was another person sitting as his cold gaze inadvertently swept across that person's face. Suddenly, his footsteps stopped as his handsome face hadn't changed his cold expression, but his eyes flashed some kind of light. The huge waves in his eyes were monstrous, and it almost swept him away in an instant. Was it an illusion? That woman appeared in his illusion again. This woman was fleeting him. He thought that it was probably the same, so he subconsciously held his breath but didn't dare to blink, afraid that figure will disappear. 1 second, 2 seconds, after 10 seconds, the person in front of him was still in his line of sight. Smiling, it wasn't an illusion this time. He walked straight towards. Alright, then let's go to your company and have a good talk. I will go and settle the bill first, but you stopped her since she was your client. You will help her to settle the bill. You grabbed your bag and stood up. I will go. You sit for a while, just as you are about to walk towards cashier, but a tall figure appeared in front of you. Under your cold brows was a pair of hawk-like sharp eyes. After a lot of time, there was a hidden deep abyss. His jaw was sharp as a knife, and his lips was pursed tightly, and his beamy eyes are staring deeply. Your steps paused as you felt your heart beating heavily, as if it was about to stop. Or are you seeing things wrong? Why did that person appear in front of you and so close? You held back tightly that he can see visible veins on your hand. You could smell the strong masculine scent that belongs to his body. It enveloped and trapped you. He stared at you coldly, not believing. It was really her. He thought for a moment that he was hallucinating. Jungkook. A lovely cry broke the stalemate. Daeun was surprised when she saw him and called his name. It is really you. You didn't leave. Her voice could not hide her joy. There were almost tears in her eyes. I thought I was put down. Her sound pulled you back to your senses and made you realize that you almost ran into him. So you took a few steps back and lowered your eyes, covering your emotion. So the person who made Kim Daeun feel depressed was Jungkook. She saw that he has left but returned. She was really happy that she didn't pay attention to his emotional gaze. His eyes didn't leave you as if he had grown roots. You took a deep breath and suppressed the little emotions that were running rampant in her. You smiled at Daeun. Looks like Miss Kim still has something to do. Then I will leave first. Of course, Daeun cherished the time when she had alone with him, so she naturally nodded her head shyly in agreement. Just as you were about to leave, he was still standing there, staring at your face, your friend. He suddenly asked coldly, making Daeun stunned, then realized that he was asking her, so she nodded but shook her head politely. Mr. John, this is Eva, the designer of clothes who just came back from overseas. Miss Eva, this is the president of Jones Group, John Jungkook. Mr. John is my... She couldn't help but feel shy. How could she introduce him? Although she felt that he would definitely be hers, but it was not appropriate to introduce him as a blind date. At the end, she changed her sentence, is my friend. Of course, you knew that he was president of Jones Group. You have known this 5 years ago, but you didn't want to know about it anymore. In order to not take the client's face away, you faintly smiled, looking at him, then more respectfully. Hello, Mr. John. Mr. John. He narrowed his eyes when he heard you calling him like that. She had learned to call Mr. John after 5 years. He took a step forward. The powerful aura around his body was getting closer. You had calmed down and stood without moving. What's wrong? Daeun noticed it was a little strange. Thus she asked. You smiled. Miss Kim, I will contact you later. I will not disturb you guys for now. You nodded a little at Jungkook's direction, then walked around, preferring to leave, but Daeun felt embarrassed, so she asked to have some juice. You had been grabbing her bag tightly as you wanted to leave the place as soon as possible, but you can't disobey her request, so you politely sat down. He was about to leave also, straight, and sat across from you with a cold expression. His expression was very ugly, and Daeun didn't dare to say anything. Three people had their own thoughts. However, a certain someone's sharp gaze kept on you, scorching heat as if he was staring deep in your soul. After a while, you stood up. Thank you for your hospitality, but I still have work to do, so I won't bother. You smile and tell that you will pay for it. So you didn't care about their reaction and went to settle the bill, but someone moved faster than you, swiped his card. His cold voice didn't carry any emotions. You were very familiar with this, that you didn't even need to raise head to know the person. I, Jungkook, do not have the habit of letting women trick me. You were silent and pulled your back, then turned to look at him with unfamiliar smile. In that case, thank you, Mr. John. Diane had followed and saw the scene. Her heart rejoiced because this man is gentleman. She walked you to door. Miss Eva, why don't we send you back to the company? It's not far away. Your mouth twitched, then again thanks for her kindness. There is no need for Miss Kim. I will be there in a few steps. Thank you for your hospitality today. You didn't think that you need someone to send for these few steps. You quickly leave the place, ignoring the other line of sight. She looked at your back, then quietly glanced at the man not far away. When did I say I wanted to send you off? Sure enough, a cold and heartless voice came from above, although she had already expected that he would not send her back. But his sudden words still make her feel ashamed. Fortunately, you had already left, so she only smiled at him. I know you will not send me off. I have made things difficult for you today. Be careful on the road. She didn't pester him anymore and turned to leave, but she suddenly thought of something and looked back at him. Right, Mr. John, can I add a WeChat? Ah, what an insatiable woman. A look of impatience appeared in his black eyes. Just as he was about to refuse, suddenly thought came in his mind and narrowed his eyes. Staring in the direction where the woman had disappeared in, you just said that she was a designer. She didn't react first, but then nodded blankly. She also got some hope and smiled, curled up in her pinkish lip. That's right, Mr. Jones. She's a designer. I went to her company to entrust her to help me design. If Mr. Jones needs to design, you can also look for her. She saw that Jungkook was interested in your designer identity, so she guessed that he probably wanted to look for design clothes. That's why she openly pushed your identity out. She even thought that it would be best if she could take the opportunity to improve with him. Designer, his eyes turned darker. He didn't expect that woman to become a designer. This was surprising. She excitedly bit her lower lip. Does Mr. Jones also want to design clothes? How about we add a WeChat and I push her name card to you? Her heart beat fast when she asked. This was the most important step on her path to becoming future Mrs. Jones. If it was before, he would have left long ago. Not to mention, adding WeChat, he probably wouldn't even bother with her, but now it was different. He thought for a moment and took out his phone. Give me the business card. She nodded excitedly. After sharing WeChat, he left directly. She waved at him, smiling. I will, Mr. John. Mr. John drive carefully on the road. Her eyes followed the figure until he disappeared. She looked at her phone and hugged it with happiness. That was great. She was one step closer. It seemed June was right. Jungkook was indeed the kind of person who was cold and warm-hearted. She could almost imagine what the two of them would look like in the future together. She was really satisfied with this man. You sat in a daze for long after returning to the office. Jenny also looked at you strangely. What was going on with you? You looked so distracted that you didn't even realize that Jenny had brought you coffee. All along, you thought that after so many years, your heart was as calm as still water, but only now you realize some things can't change just because you wanted to. Jenny can understand you as she had spent her most of the time with you. She was concerned about your mood, but you just shrugged about the thought you wanted to share with her about that you met Jungkook. She will protect you, but you can't tell her. It was also your fault for not hiding your emotions well, that she felt your mood wasn't good. She looked at you like she can able to see through you. Wouldn't be Jungkook the same